Are there any fans of the show The Walking Dead here? It's a show about zombies, a post-apocalyptic show. It's now coming to the end of its 11th season. So for 11 years, people have been watching these zombies getting killed, season after season, right? In fact, I was just reading that some 4,000 zombies have been killed over 11 seasons. Today's scriptures have a lot of deaths too, not of zombies, but of people. Did you hear today's first reading from the second book of Maccabees? It's the story of a mother and how many sons? 7 sons. There's a mother who has 7 sons and they all die. The king kills them all because they did what? Or they didn't do what? They wouldn't eat pork. I like to imagine it being tacos de carnitas. Mm-hmm. And I like to imagine the king saying to me, Father Jayme, I will not kill you if you eat these tacos de carnitas. And you know what I'm saying to the king? Pass the tacos. I'll have the carnitas. But for that mother and for those 7 brothers who lived many years ago, some 144 years before Jesus was born, for them, they thought it was a grave sin. They thought they would be sinning if they ate those carnitas, if they ate that pork chop. They wouldn't do it. They said, we'd rather die. They told the king, you can kill us, but God, the King of the universe, is going to raise us up. It was tremendous ancient insight that death is not the end. You can kill me, but that's not the end. God is going to raise me up. God is going to raise us up. And that's the hope that mother gave to her 7 sons as they stood there, some of them thinking, you know, Mom, I think I'd rather eat the carnitas. Mm-hmm. And she encouraged them to stand strong and not to transgress what she understood to be God's law. In the longer form of today's gospel, we have another story of another woman, and this time, instead of 7 sons, this woman has 7 husbands, one after another, and they're all brothers. So imagine for a moment the story. The oldest brother marries a woman and he dies. So the next brother marries the widow and he dies. And then the next brother marries the widow and he dies. I think if I were the next brother, I'd be like, I don't think so. I'm good. I'm good. But according to the story that the Sadducees presented to Jesus, they said, just imagine for a moment that if the same woman married 7 different brothers, then when they get to heaven, Jesus, whose wife will she be? In heaven, is she going to be the wife of husband number 1 or number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7? Who gets her in heaven? And what does Jesus say? Y'all are crazy out of your mind. Because God doesn't think like you think. We don't think like God thinks. It's not like people are married and we have to ask, oh, who's that person going to be married to? No. What's important, Jesus says, is to remember that our God is not a God of the dead, but is a God of the living. A God who brings us from death to life, from sickness to health, from darkness to light. Stop and think about any darkness that you might have gone through in life, in the past, or perhaps even in the present. I'm going through some pretty terrible allergies this week. I'm smiling, so I'm not going to let you know how I'm feeling. But for those who've gone through some really rough allergies, you probably know what I'm feeling. But at the same time, I know there are others who are going through things far rougher than I. And sometimes those things are physical, have to do with our physical health. Sometimes those things are spiritual. They have to do more with our own, where we are and our beliefs. Some of those things are more emotional or more things that weigh on our spirit and on our emotions. Sisters and brothers, the good news is that our God shepherds us from darkness to light, from sickness to health, from death to life. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and suggest that it's anything that happens like magic, but it's part of the human journey. For us, going through life with all of its valleys and all of its peaks, with its good times and its less than good times. Isn't that what marriage is about, right? I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad, and sickness and in health, right? When it feels good, when it doesn't feel good. That's kind of how it is. But the good news is that at the end of all of this, as this week's celebrations of Dia de Todos los Santos, All Saints Day, Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, the church calls it Dia de los Fieles Difuntos, the day of the faithfully departed. The mystery that we saw this week, for those of us who saw any of the images for Dia de los Muertos on November the 2nd, remember some of those skeletons? They're dancing, they're playing the guitar, they're singing, they're riding bicycles. There are even some skeletons that are drinking tequila. But the great mystery that's being expressed by that is that that skeleton is not dead. It looks like a skeleton, it looks like it's dead. But like those zombies in The Walking Dead, no, it's not dead yet. Follow me? It's very much alive, singing and dancing in God's presence. And so as we celebrate this year, all those who've gone before us in the faith, our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, our aunts and uncles, our cousins, for some of us, our own children or grandchildren. We recall how it is that for us as Christians, there is no death. For us as Christians, that which goes down must come up. Because God promises in today's scriptures to raise us to new life.